I would be remiss if I didn't just go ahead and jump right into it. DMX, Earl Simmons, he overdosed over the weekend, and the overdose caused him to have a heart attack, and he is currently in a vegetative state at the hospital. Last time I looked it up, his kids were flying in to see him. They don't think DMX will make it. Of course, last time that DMX really made a cultural impact was over last summer when him and Snoop Dogg came together for their Versus competition. And DMX, while he he didn't look like the X of old. He looked happy to be alive. He's having fun with Snoop. I don't recall him drinking or smoking or anything. He seemed to be sober and living his best life. And we were glad to see something on my table. We were glad to see the Dark Man, CX, back in that light. For those who don't know, he dropped his own version of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. That's on Spotify right now. It's pretty awesome. I cannot lie. It's pretty awesome. So you can check that out. Shout out to Austin for sending that to me. But more importantly than all of that, DMX had one of the most impactful it was a most impactful moment on hip hop in its young history. I mean, some of y'all may recall when 50 Cent came out, and that was 2003, and he had been burning up the mixtapes, and then Get Rich or Die Trying came out, and then The Club came out, and it was 50, 50, 50, 50, 50. Or some of y'all may recall when the Carter 2 came out, and then it was Wayne, 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 and it was Wayne, 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 all the way up through Carter 3. And Wayne was everywhere. DMX did that without a mixtape. Did it the old-fashioned way. He came in the game. He was signed to Def Jam. He signed to this label, Rough Riders. And he had a couple guest appearances. Like he was on 4321 by LL Cool J. He was on Money, Power, and Respect by The Lox. He was on 24 Hours to Live by Mace. And these are all songs that came out in 97. And, I had no clue, but I'm sure in the industry around that time there were rumblings that something was coming, something different was coming for the streets, because we had just come out of, we weren't even out of it yet. The Jiggy era was in full swing, the Shiny Suit era, with Diddy and Mace running things pretty much. And after Biggie's death, it was literally Bad Boy everything, all the way through 97 into early 98. And then the first time I saw DMX, man, it was a music video. And it was Stop Being Greedy. No, sorry. Let's Get At Me, Dog. And it was a black and white video, had Sheik of the Lox on it. And everybody's like, what? Sheik of the Lox? Why is Sheik on this record? Because by that time, the Lox had just come out, so it really wasn't even a clamoring for. It was like the group. They always wanted the group. It wasn't Styles and Jada. It wasn't Jada. It wasn't Styles. And definitely nobody was expecting Sheik Luch. Who wasn't even Sheik Luch yet? He was just Sheik. Sheik of the Lox. Still signed a Bad Boy. And that song, what must I go through to show you shit real? And I don't never give a fuck what they feel. Like, it was a shock to the system. Like, what is this? Who was this bald dude with the chain and his black and white video and all these hood dudes just getting it? It's awesome. It's amazing. What is it? And from there, he dropped the video for Stop Being Greedy, one of my all-time favorite DMX songs. And I'm not gonna look it up because I just want to be raw with y'all right now. He dropped his first album. It's Dark and Hell is Hot. And shortly after that, especially summer '98, everywhere you went, stop, drop, shut them down, open up shop. Oh, no, that's how Rough Riders roll. It was everywhere. With those keys. Something new. And then gone. For someone like me who had just got into rap when Pac and Biggie had passed and was really living off of the sounds of No Way Out and Will Smith's Big Willie style album. Sorry, not sorry. Even though Willennium holds up better than Big Willie style. We can talk about it. It's okay. And that's the whole album. Not just Will 2K, because Will 2K is a dope song too. Why am I talking about Will Smith? Sorry. DMX was my first real hood nigga. I'm just going to say it. I had never heard something that raw. And y'all can say, oh, well, what about all these other records that you've heard over the years, like NWA or early Snoop and stuff? I wasn't exposed to that till later. I didn't have access. I had to pick all that stuff up as I grew more into knowing about hip-hop. X-Men. I mean, I'm just a kid from Winchester, Virginia, who's living in Cape Bridge, West Virginia, who decided he wanted to start writing raps. And all of a sudden, I got this guy talking about being the baddest, you know, but also being real while being the baddest, which is just crazy. There was never anything DMX said that felt fake. So I feel like I had some kind of there's definitely an edit. I remember there being an edit of some DMX or of It's Dark and Hell is Hot. I don't remember if Matt had it and I ripped it off him and I was playing that. But no, I don't remember edit too much. So when I got my hands on that tape, when I got my hands on that DMX tape, man, it blew my mind. From the opening song all the way through. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece, doesn't get talked about a lot. And I want to make sure that I talk about how great It's Dark and Hell is Hot is. Sorry, how great It's Dark and Hell is Hot is before X might check out. Ultimately, he might check out. Let's be for real. And if you can hear me, X, I just want you to know how much that album meant to me. It's a perfect hip-hop album. You can put that album up against anything and it stands a chance, better than a chance of going over. It's an amazing album. And I used to just sit. I don't know how I got away playing that album as much as I did. Because my parents did not like to hear me playing music that had cursing in it. It just kind of depends on the mood. Sometimes I get away the other time and be like, what are you doing? Like, don't take my music. Don't take my music. And when the video came out for How It's Going Down, I mean, they tweaked it a little bit, added Faith, cleaned it up a little bit. But I knew what the real version was. But I could not get enough of DMX. It's Dark and Hell is Hot. I couldn't get enough of any of it. The whole album mostly was produced by Dame Grace. A lot of people forget that. Dame Grace and X were ultimately responsible for a lot of the sound that came out of that album. Gotti was involved. Swiss did Rough Riders Anthem. Can't take that away from him. But it was a lot of Dame and X, and they created magic. So when I found out in September, October, September-ish, that he's going to do another album, he's dropping another album, I was like, there's no way. Like, he's going to drop 2 albums in the same year? That's crazy. Who does that? Nobody did that. And nobody went number 1 with both of their debut albums either. In the same year, that is. So, Fallen came out. And the crazy thing about Fallen, DMX had no radio version, okay? So everything X said on the record, they had to bleep out for the video. And the video was real dope. And it told a good story. The hook was dope. Oh, I'm slipping. I'm falling. I can't get out. Hey, yo, I'm slipping. It was so good, man. But I swear to goodness, you could not understand that record if you're listening to the radio version. Because it's silence. So, then it was heavily edited, especially on the MTV and BET versions. But I was like, man, this is a good record. This is a good record. I like this song. So it was probably, I don't know, sometime in '99 when I first got to really sit down and listen to Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood. And I personally was disappointed with it. It had its moments, but it didn't have the same, it didn't resonate the same as Dark and Hell is Hot did for me. And I know there's plenty of people out there who love it, and I'm not trying to sit here and criticize his music. I'm just telling you my DMX story right now. Maybe it was because everybody went so crazy over Rough Riders Anthem, and Swiss was really, that's like Swiss's first major look. Like Rough Riders Anthem put him on, but Flesh My Flesh was as much his music and his beats as it was DMX's voice. And that kind of set the stage for him to go on and become what he's become today. But I didn't love it. I respected the hell out of him for it. I thought it was real cool. It just didn't resonate the same. But I always had It's Dark and Hell is Hot. His third album came out. And then there was X. And I will never forget, there's actually 2 times for the same record. I will never forget when I first heard What's My Name? Because I saw the video first, and I don't know if he did make the video for that, but I remember it, and it was mind-blowing. It was a hard record. What's my name? DMX and I be the best. You see the rest, they looking like they need a rest. One more time. Loved it. But then when I got my hands on that dirty version, it is not a fucking game. You niggas ready or what? That's right now. DMA, one of you got it. Come and get it. With it. All you gotta do is say it, baby. Right or die. What you really want? One time, me and my boy Thomas, who's been on the pod before, we did that Walking Dead episode way back in the archives. We were getting drunk at my old house. We were drunk. And somehow at like 2:30 in the morning, we're in my room playing DMX records. Not very quietly. Somehow I didn't get yelled at for that. I don't know how. but we were both in major agreement about how great What's My Name was. So shout out to my man DJ Wise. I managed to get the whole And Then There Was X album. Maybe it was DJ Wise, maybe I ripped it off someone else. And I am a And Then There Was X apologist. One of my favorite DMX songs is on there. Here We Go Again. Super dope. Great song. Hard White DXL's on there with the locks. They killed it. It was more of a balance of different producers, along with Swiss, who was more refining his sound. It wasn't just so much keys. It was him branching out into different lanes and stuff. And then in the middle of it all, there was X. Strong and steady, man. One last thing I want to mention about X. He came to Morgantown once. He did a show at the Coliseum. It was 2003. I had just moved up here. And me and Angel were in the mall. And all of a sudden, we just see this crowd following this person. Now, he was in this crowd, this person. They're all around him, and they're just moving with him. And we're just like watching him go by, just like this. And I'm looking, I'm like, yo, that's DMX. Apparently DMX had stopped the Morgantown Mall, of all places, went into the Gabe's that was then attached to the mall. So, yeah, right? Gabe's has always been attached to the mall, wasn't it? Or maybe he had went up to Gabe's afterwards. Was walking through the mall and had ended up at Gabe's at some point and bought some Timbs up there. Some cheap Timbs from Gabe's. And I just remember this whole massive crowd just following him. And this is after the Great Depression came out in 2001. And may have either been before or after Grand Champ came out in 2003. And then from there, the drug problems and the problems with the law just escalated. And wasn't that long ago that he had checked himself back into rehab to kind of make sure he stayed straight and narrow. And before that, he did a prison bid. X became more of a punchline than anything else. But when we saw him last summer, it felt good. It felt like we were going to get him back. It felt like, if anything, we were going to get one more DMX moment. He still had just one more in the chamber for us. Whether his voice sounded different, whether I think he was re-signed with Def Jam and everything. Like, I feel like, and ultimately we may still get it, but it won't be the same if he's not here. You know that. We all know that. But I don't want to get too sappy. I don't feel like crying on the pod today. But I do want to take this time and just reach out, use my psychic abilities. Reach out there and put this energy into the world for real, though. DMX, Earl, X, Darkman. I appreciate all the joy that you brought into my life through your work, and all the joy that you've brought to millions around the world. Nobody struck the landscape of hip-hop quite like you did, and no one probably ever will again. There will be people who will always sell records. There will always be the next big thing. But there will always only be one DMX. And you're it, obviously. It sucks that you can't escape your demons, and this might be the final go-around. This might be your last fight. But it's very important to me to just let you know your impact and how much you influenced a little black kid who was literally stuck in a country town that had a single road to drive through the main strip of it. And how much you meant to me, and how much your sound helped shape me. There was some comments I was listening to earlier on a podcast about how certain rappers, when they portray a certain thing to the youth ends up growing into that thing they're portraying, even if the rappers really weren't about that, which I believe to be true. But I want to let you know that despite everything you rapped about, the hood, drugs, women, fame, killing, murder, robbing, stealing, all those things that I've never done. I've had women. All those things, it's like the ATF busting in, all those things that you rapped about. I could see the images in my head when you're rapping on ATF. I can hear you having this, I can visually see you having this conversation with Damien. But at the same time, I was able to take what you were saying, enjoy it for what it was, and then not take that with me out into my regular life. Now, I know that's not everybody, but I do not agree with anybody who wants to blame music that was made in 1988 on how the kids were raised today. Yeah, did it affect some things? Sure, but to blame a whole entire, blame these guys who may have been portraying an image for the mistakes of the next generation came up behind them just because they were saying certain things in the music, that's a bunch of bullshit. Just my thoughts. I'm not going to go any further than that. I'm a little annoyed on that. But seriously though, X, I do appreciate you. I think you're great, one of the greatest. And I really hope that somehow by some miracle you have more time with us, more healthy time with us. If not, thank you for everything you've done for hip hop, for rap, for me, for everybody who's ever been a fan of yours. And rest easy. Rest well currently, and if this is the last time we talk while you're alive, rest well. Okay.